Hello, it's me again, and I'm here to talk about Node.js. I know it's been 14, 15 years that Node.js is around, but some people didn't get into the JS wagon just yet. Being that because your company uses a different tech stack, or because, well, you didn't have any chance to look at it just yet. Now's the time. So if you need to do something with Node.js, here's a very quick and easy tutorial to follow. Let's get started. So what I have here is Visual Studio Code, which is the tool that I always use for these types of tutorials. Not because it's free, but because it's a very, very good text editor. Let me reiterate that. Visual Studio Code is just a text editor. It's not a full-fledged IDE, although you can get pretty close to a proper IDE using extensions. I'm not going to talk about the extensions. I'm going to just show you that you can install extensions for whatever language you wish to use. But obviously in this tutorial, we're going to talk about JavaScript. And just so you guys know, Visual Studio is much better with extensions, okay? As you can see, I use a lot of them. The majority is focused on JavaScript, HTML, CSS development. But yeah, I do have .NET Core tools installed here if I want to use them. Also, some of the extensions have to do with AI. So this is actually a service, not sponsored. The video is not sponsored by Cody, but this is a very good alternative to GitHub Copilot. It's €1 cheaper. I mean, GitHub Copilot is 10 euros, if I'm not mistaken, or $10. And this is 9, so the difference is ridiculous. But this is actually been less update. For example, it was a couple of days ago. So it's a very, very good tool, and I've been using it a lot. Let's leave the extensions for another chat, right? And let's talk about Node.js. So if you want to start with Node.js, what do you do? Well, obviously, first of all, you download from nodejs.org the latest version of Node.js, install it on your computer. If you're using Linux, there's a version for it. If you're using Windows or Mac, there are versions for it. But let's talk about the Node.js package, what comes with it. So when you install Node.js, what you're going to get is Node.js itself and the NPM package manager. So NPM stands for Node Package Manager. And this is the tool that we're going to use to install dependencies, and also the tool that we're going to use to start a new project. So how do I do that? Well, opening Visual Studio Code, if you don't see a terminal, you can go here and choose New Terminal. And there you go. You have a new terminal. Now, what I have here is a folder. I just opened a folder. I came here, open folder, and I opened this folder here, which is the folder that I'm using for this particular tutorial. So as you can see, this is not a project. Like I said, Visual Studio Code is just a text editor. So I just opened a folder, and I'm now going to start creating files inside this folder. So let's do that. First of all, let me create my file, which is going to be called tutorial.js. Okay? So we are talking about Node.js. Obviously, I want to create a JavaScript file. This is going to be a very, very simple JavaScript file that will have just a few functions that we are going to create during this tutorial. But let's just start with a function sum, which will get two variables, and it will spit out A plus B, right? So this is a very straightforward function, very easy to understand. And we know what the result would be when we do something like sum 1, 2, right? So this is what we want to do, okay? Therefore, we have our first JavaScript file. Now, how do we start a proper Node.js project? Okay, we are inside a folder. Now I want to start a project. What do we do? So first step, let's see if Node.js is installed. You can do this typing down node -v, and then this will return the version of Node that is installed on your computer. Likewise, you can do npm -v, and this is going to return the version of the npm package manager. All right, so you have everything you need to start a proper Node project. How do I do that? With npm, like I said. So you're going to type npm init, and this command is going to start a new project for you, right? So you give it the package name, which I'm going to call tutorial. Version, not going to bother putting in all the information. I'm just going to type enter for almost everything. Nothing for the description, enter. Entry point, it already recognized tutorial.js because I created the file first, okay? So I'm going to leave it like this. Entry point is going to be tutorial.js. I'm not going to bother with testing, nor git. Author, if you want, you can put in your name. And license, just for the sake of having some information on the file. And this, when you confirm, this is going to create for you the package.json file. This is the file that indicates that you have a proper Node.js project started. The contents of the file should be whatever you typed in during this series of questions, right? If you want to change anything, you can do it from here. No need to restart the project, okay? Right, what's next? So now I can simply try to try this project. You can see this is not going anywhere, right? So if I now type node tutorial, this is going to open this file, read the content, run the content, and get out of Node.js. So if I do this, nothing happens. Why is that? Well, when you enter Node, it enters sort of a box, okay? So everything that is running inside that box only runs inside that box. So we defined inside this file, right? We defined a function, we call the function, but everything happened inside that box. When Node finishes, we are back into our command line or our terminal. And obviously, this is a different environment. How do I get things to get logged outside? So, well, instead of just calling the function, what we could do is console log the result of the function. So now what I'm telling Node to do is, Node, please console log the result of the function. Okay, I need to save the file first. And now you have 3 on the terminal. Okay, so there you go. You know the function was called, parameters were passed, and the function works correctly. Okay, if I put 10 and I don't know 33 and run it again, wow, I always forget to save the file. Okay, so 43. All right, so we know this is working, but having to do this every time so I can see if this works, and I forgot to save the file several times, this is kind of annoying, right? So let's try something else. Let me do stuff like this. Now I save the file. The result should be 42, but I don't want to do this every time. This is one way you can do this, right? But you can also create a script. So if you notice, this is not a question that was asked. So the script section on your package.json file is where you put your scripts to run for you your commands on the command line. So if I create a script, well, I'm not using test, so I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to create a script called start. Okay, and the script is just going to do for me node tutorial. It's the same thing I'm doing here, right? You can skip passing the JS extension. You don't need it, but you can do it if you want. So I can save this. Now I have a script, right, that is going to do for me node tutorial. Obviously, I could just run this and it would work. If I down type npm start, what it's going to do, it's going to read whatever is in this script, and it's going to execute the script called start. So the result actually would be the same, right? And you're going to say, well, this doesn't help. Actually, it doesn't help because I still have to type stuff on my console. Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. But what you can do, you can go here on the task explorer, and you're going to see that now you have a button to do that, right? And you can just hit run. This is going to run for you the script. Okay, it's a little bit better, right? I can just do this and yeah, it works. Nice. So by defining a script, you now have access to it through the Task Explorer. And you can run this, or you can even debug this if you want, just by defining a debug mode. So let's define a debug mode for this file. I want to put a breakpoint here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F5. And when I do this, this is calling the debugger, the native debugger from Visual Studio Code. So it's going to ask me which mode I want to use to debug. Well, we are talking about Node.js, so I am going to choose Node.js, right? So as you can see, now I have a debugger working, right? I have my local variables, and it's running already, and it stopped on my breakpoint. Perfect. Now I can even mouse over the variables and see what is going on, right? In here, I have some functionalities I can use, step in, step over, etc. I am just going to continue, and you're going to see on the debug console the result, right? And now what I can do is I can just hit run and debug again. And there you go. You have debug mode again for you with debug console ready for you to use if you want. Nice. Things are starting to get better. So what if I want to choose between debug and running normally like this? Well, actually you can, right? You can create, because when you hit F5, you do this. In the end, you get this option to create a launch JSON file, right? So what you can do is you can click here, choose Node.js, and this is going to create a file for you where you can create different configurations. So this is going to launch your program with this type of request. But let's just do this. Now that I have this configuration file, it actually creates a button for me. Select and start debug configuration. This is very neat. So let's see. If I hit this button now, it's going to ask launch programs. And there you go. You're debugging again. Okay. And you can go to the debug console and see the result. Nice. Now I can debug my application. I can see what's happening on the console. I can run the scripts just by hitting a button. What's next? Well, if I want more from my program, this program is very simple, but I actually want to install a few dependencies, because instead of this, I actually want something more. I want, for example, the result of the sum function is, and then I'm going to pass the result, right? So let's just stop this, because I don't want to debug anymore. I just want to run. So let's run it. So nice. More or less. Well, it is nice, but it doesn't call that level of attention that I want. So what can we do? Maybe if we have something to make this a little bit more colorful, maybe that would work. Also, if I put in, and you can do that, right? If I put in a few emojis, here it is, hand like this. So the result of this sum function is, and then the response. So if I now run it again, it now shows the emoji. But the rest is still so bland. I don't think I like it. So what I want to do is I want to color this text a little bit more, so it pops, right? There is, by the way, there is something called Chalk, which is a NPM package you can install on your application. Since you started a proper Node.js project, you could just type npm I Chalk. I stands for install, right? And this will install from the npm package manager, or the public repository of packages from npm. This will install Chalk, which is this library here. You have the information on how to install and how to use it. So let's do that. So let's first install Chalk. Not this window. So if I go here and I type npm Chalk, All right, added one package, 0 vulnerabilities. Perfect. And as you can see, a node modules folder was installed in your application. This is where all the dependencies for the node package manager lives. Okay. Also, you have now a package lock.json. Why? If you take a look at your package.json file again, you're going to see a new section was added, dependencies. And it has the chalk dependency and the version of that dependency. Package lock.json would have almost the same thing, but in fact, it would have all the dependencies of that dependency, if any. Okay? It says your application depends on this package. Here is the package. Where is it located? So node modules chalk. If you open node modules, you're going to find chalk here and a package.json log file inside. So every dependency might have all the dependencies, and everything will be listed in the package log.json file. This is not a file you want to change manually. Actually, you don't want to do anything with this, because if I install another dependency, this file will get overwritten. So don't change anything manually here. If you need, change here. If you want to delete this dependency, don't just do this. Okay? If you want to remove a dependency, all you have to do is type npm remove, and the name of the dependency is the same name you use to install. Okay? And this will remove your dependency and also will remove it from node modules. Okay? But we really want it, so let's install. Nice. So we have the dependency now. How do I use it? Well, you can see the usage here. So chalk 5 is ESM. What does that mean? JavaScript these days, and I'm going to put this on full cam so you guys can understand me correctly. JavaScript these days, we have two ways of using it. One is CommonJS modules, right? Which means you, in terms of Node.js, it just means you're using a require function to load in the dependency, okay? And ESM, which stands for ES, ECMAScript, modules. And in terms of Node.js, that just means that you're using a import statement to import your dependencies into the project. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So if I get back here, it says chalk 5 is ESM. So the way we should be using it is with import. So this is what we have to do, okay? And therefore, let's just do that. Let me close launch. Let's go to the tutorial, and let's do just that. So if this was a CS module, okay, a common CS module, CommonJS module, the actual line would be something like const chalk require chalk, okay? But the problem is chalk is ESM, so we have to use import. So we are going to import chalk from chalk. Okay? Now, after we do this, if we just mouse over, you see that chalk is a chalk instance. So this is already importing the class from the node modules called chalk. Okay? So when you do this, it knows you want to load this from the node modules folder, right? This is going to search inside the folder for this particular dependency or this module, and is going to load and attribute, make this variable the result of this import. Okay, so there you go. You now have chalk and we can use it. So let's try to use it. You can see the usage right here. So chalk blue and then a string. So it's a function where you pass a string and it returns something else. Okay, let's do that. And the colors, maybe the colors, we have the colors here. Oh, it uses RGB and hexadecimal. Well, okay. This is interesting, but let's just use common colors, okay? So the result of this sum function, I want sum to be in bright yellow, okay? So what I'm going to do here, instead of just using double quotes, I'm going to transform this into this type of quote, because then I can use string interpolation here, okay? So now what I can do is call chalk, and based on this usage, right, is chalk dot the color and the string you want to use. So let's do that. Chalk dot yellow and the string I want to use. Okay. If this is confusing for you, don't worry about it. This is just string interpolation in JavaScript. I can make a tutorial talking about this if you want, but all I want to do today is to talk about NodeJS, not JavaScript. Okay, so here it is. So the result of this should be that sum should be yellow, right? In yellow, right? And by the way, what I can do now is pull this inside and do another string interpolation here, and just to do this. Since the result of this is a number, I can put this into a string. And now I have everything that I need to use chalk again and say that I want a bright blue result. Okay. So it seems this is all I need to make this work, right? It's not going to work, and I am going to show you why. So let's do our start. This is the normal start. Yes. So let's do that. And this is actually going to complain about the import. I cannot use import. Why is that? It says right here, to load an ES module, set type to module in the package.json file. By default, to this day, Node.js assumes your projects are CommonJS. So let me show you the difference. When you define the type of your project, you have two types, CommonJS and module, right? By default, and it says right here, default value, by default, Node assumes your project are CommonJS because this is the most common since Node was launched. Nowadays, everyone is using modules. So let's just change the type of our project to module. And now we can use imports. Now, if I do this, I'm going to save package.json file, and I'm going to restart the application. And there you go. The result of the sum in yellow is 42 in blue. I'm using the library I just imported, and it's that easy. Okay, it's that easy. But now, Christian, if I have a library like, for example, Express, which is a very complete library for serving HTTPS. And this actually seems to be CommonJS. What do I do now? Because my project is module. It's not CommonJS. Well, normally libraries like this, and you really need to check the documentation, but normally libraries like this accept both. You can use CommonJS like this, or you can use, I'm not going to import a library, but I'm going to show you something. You can use a library like this, or you can use the library, the same library, like this. Import Express from Express. It accepts both ways. Okay, so if you have Express installed, and again, how do you do this? npm install Express. Okay, if you have Express installed, you can do either way. This is not going to work because you just defined that your project is module, it's not CommonJS. So if I try to do this, the compiler, NodeJS, is going to complain, right? You cannot mix modules with CommonJS. That doesn't work. I am going to explain why. Modules have a different scope, okay? When your project is a module, the scope is the actual module. So when we start this module here, because tutorial.js is now a module, the scope is inside that module. Everything that I do, everything that is happening here is happening inside my tutorial.js module. Whereas CommonJS uses the global context as its context, and everything is global. So for that reason, we have these two ways of doing stuff. And nowadays, everyone is using this because of scope. Having a tighter scope helps with garbage collection. So having everything inside a module, when the module is done, everything, if the module is done, there's no reason to keep things in memory. And that's why Node.js is so much better in memory management than other platforms, right? Yeah, that's actually it for this tutorial. Like I said, it's very, very simple to start using Node.js on your day-to-day. Here's how to import other libraries. You have npm to, if you want to search, for example, I want a library to serve HTTPS. You have Express, you have Fastify. They do exactly the same thing in different ways. Okay, so let's search for Fastify, and there you go. If you go here, here's how to install it. Here's the repository, the home page where you can check the documentation. Although in here you should have some documentation, right? How to use it, and again, ESM, CommonJS, you have both. Okay. How to declare a route, and etc., etc. Here's the quick start, right? But if you want the to see the documentation in full, you go to their website and do that. If I want, for example, a link library for JavaScript, which I really don't know why would you, but there you go. You can. So if you want to use link in JavaScript, here's how you would do. right? So examples on how to translate between C# link and link.js, which is almost the same, right? Link lambdas. Obviously, JavaScript have lambdas. C# anonymous types, etc. So you just change it for object literals, and there you go. Again, usage: how to install it, how to import it, how to use it. Okay. On npm, you're going to find anything you need, anything you want, and how to use it. Okay. Again, this is actually just ESM. So it says right here, because the library is an ES module, this code will only work if your project is also configured as an ES module. And it says type module on your package.json file, which was exactly what we did. Okay. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Node.js is not that hard. I mean, obviously, there's much more you can do with it, but this is actually what you need to start, right? How to start a project, how to import dependencies, and how to create scripts to make your life a little bit better, right? This is just quality of life stuff, okay? Yeah, everything you need should be inside the package.json file, the node modules, and your entry point, which is your main JS file. You can have other JS files. Let me show you something interesting. For example, let's say you don't really want the function to be here, right? You want the function to be in another utilities.js file. Okay, so you have a function here. That didn't work. You have a function here. How do I get my function from here to here? Well, obviously, something tells me I need to import the function, right? So import sum from utilities. But as you can see, this is a little bit different from this. And when I mouse over this, it gives me a class, right? But when I mouse over this, I don't seem to have the same result. Why is that? And if I mouse over this, you're going to see nothing is actually working. Why is that? Well, you need to export the function from this file. And you can do it like this, which is enough for this to work. Now you do have, based on the tell instance alone, you can tell, right? And you can tell here that this is going to work. Or you can say export default function. So if this is the only function you have on your file, you can do it like this and remove the brackets, because that is the default function that is going out from utilities.js. So actually, this should be called sum.js, right? So let's call it sum.js. Perfect. And it renames automatically for you because it knows where this is coming from. Okay. And there you go. So if I now run this, it should work just the same. Okay. This is how you keep your JavaScript project more concise and more easy to manage. And also, you're going to tell me, well, this is not great, right? Because sum, it says A and B, and the type is any, and the return type is any. I don't think I like that too much. How can I improve this? Well, actually, these days, JavaScript can do that for you. And I'm not talking about TypeScript. Forget about TypeScript. By default, right? Visual Studio Code can do something called JS docs. So if you type, I'm going to do that again. If you type forward star and enter on top of any function, it will give you this. So this is actually the documentation for this function. And I can say parameter A is a number. Parameter B is a number. And it returns a number. So when I mouse over the function sum, this is exactly what you get. And in here, where you're importing your file, also you have the IntelliSense. You could even function that sums two numbers, and that's, thank you, Cody. Is this guy here. So yeah, function that sums two numbers. I save, and I have the IntelliSense here. Okay? So you can define which type is returning from your functions and which type you are passing to your functions, which is very, very good. In this case, for example, when I do sum and I want to start something, it says I have to pass a number. So I'm going to pass a number. I'm going to pass a second number. And when I close and I do this, now I have IntelliSense to what to do with the result, because I know the result is going to be a number. Now I can say choose string, and I know this is going to work. Okay, so there you go. JavaScript for you. This was just to show you guys some of the features that JavaScript have these days. Although JS Docs is not anything new, just it's been around for a while. But yeah, like I said, this is actually a Node.js tutorial, not a JavaScript tutorial. This is what I have to present for you today. If you like the video, please hit a thumbs up, share with your friends, and if you like this type of tutorial, beginner tutorial, let me know in the comments, and I can make more. Type in your questions, your doubts, and maybe I make a video about them next. That's it from my side. Thank you for watching, and I see you on the next one.